Hello, and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News channel. Today we're going to talk about this quote from David Schwartz about, and quote, "I don't mind talking about this, and I despise people who tell other people to hold." This is directly from his Twitter. "As a sign of faith and consider rational de-risking a betrayal or something. Anyone telling you crap like that just wants you to be a sucker who keeps the price up so they can sell." Now, David Schwartz isn't a great predictor of markets or anything, but he's absolutely right about this. This is calling out the various random shills, probably some of the YouTubers as well, always telling people to hold until $589, $10,000, $1,000 and not sell, and just keep accumulating one single asset instead of actually de-risking and diversifying out, or de-risking and cashing some money in after you've made a good amount of money. He's basically saying those people are idiots and you shouldn't listen to them. So this is actually very basic in terms of economics and investing, that once something spikes up and you made a lot of money, you should sell some out, either cash out or diversify into other assets. He's not saying that he hates holding. I think holding is a good idea some of the time, but he's saying that you shouldn't listen to people who are basically telling you to hold until $589 or hold until $1,000, because those people just want you to be suckers and they want you to keep holding and buying more so they can actually cash out at a higher price. And David Schwartz is actually selling some of his stash as to de-risk. Now, the thing is, I actually did say a couple of months ago, before like the small run that XRP actually had, it was like a 20% run or something. Said about a couple of weeks before that David Schwartz did sell out about a couple million XRP. I forgot exactly how much it was, because he didn't think XRP was going to go to $10. Yes, it did have that run afterwards, but it didn't go anywhere near $10. And now it's retracing back. So the thing is, like, yes, you might have gotten that 20% run, which, by the way, it still really lags behind the other 20 cryptos. And the thing is, for people who listen to those holders, they wouldn't have sold at the peak of that run. They would have just held on, and now it's retraced most of the way back. So that's the thing. You have to actually sell at peaks and then maybe buy in at a lower price. And with the extra profit that you made, you need to de-risk, invest in other assets, or invest in other cryptos. I've always said on my channels that you should not have all your money in crypto, not even close. I only have a small amount of my holdings in cryptocurrency. Not all my wealth is in cryptocurrency, or all my holdings, because that would be stupid. I would not actually put 100% of everything I own in an ultra risky asset class. I have a retirement account, a 401k, and I have other holdings as well as money in my bank. So that's where actually I'm at right now, because I think people who are saying, like, sell your house or whatever, sell your house, sell your car, put everything into crypto, those people are either trolling or trying to fish you into buying more XRP so they can sell at a higher price. In fact, I believe that most people that are doing that are either trolling, or or they're just being completely unethical and telling you to buy more so they can actually sell out at a higher price. That is horrible, horrible investment advice. Regardless of how things turn out, that's actually really horrible investment advice. And that's the type of advice that if you were actually a financial advisor, that would actually get you sued or land you in jail. So take that into consideration. If they were on the hot seat, they would not give you those kind of suggestions, regardless of how things turn out. Yet no one can actually predict the market, but you can just see, like, yes, the crypto market rises a lot, but it also had several 90% drops. So that's why it's good to sell at the peak. I know some of you are looking at the tax thing and saying, well, if I hold more than a year, then I only have to pay 20%. I'm talking about the United States, of course. You only have to pay 20%. But if you actually don't hold for a year, you might have to pay 40%. That's only true if you're in the top tax bracket. If you make more than $256,000 as a single person, yes, then you have to pay maybe 38% tax. However, that doesn't really apply if you're in the middle tax bracket. You're probably somewhere within the 30% range. So yes, you have to pay 10% more tax, but the amount of money you would have gotten out of selling, at the peak of $3, or even when it was coming down at $1, is much greater than the 10% more tax you have to pay holding all the way down and selling at like 40 cents right now. You could have sold at $1, kept half the money for yourself, and then still bought back more than you would have had just by holding all along, and then holding until 40 cents by buying back in at 40 cents while selling at $1 or more. And you had plenty of time to actually sell at over $1 because it wasn't like it just went from $3 to $1 overnight. It actually took a couple of days. So that's why, David Schwartz's comment about selling and de-risking is good. And it's not only de-risking, it's about trading and buying back in. I'm not telling you to day trade every day. I don't do that. I don't do anything close to that. I only make like 1 or 2 trades every few weeks when I see XRP spikes. Even this weekend, when XRP suddenly moved up, I guess 200 Satoshis because of some fake news. If my swing trading stack had actually been in XRP, it's actually in VET right now. And I do the same thing with my swing trade stack in VET as well. If my swing trade stack had been in XRP that entire time, if my swing trade stack had been in XRP at the time, I would have sold when that happened because I know that's basically due to a bunch of crappy rumors with MoneyGram, which, by the way, MoneyGram can't actually be sold to Ripple just by signing a deal with MoneyGram and Ripple, because MoneyGram does not own most of MoneyGram. There are certain partners, many minority holders. It's a public company, first of all, so Ripple would actually have to buy shares of their public stock to actually take over the company, and there are many minority stakeholders that Ripple would actually have to contact to actually acquire MoneyGram, and it would be an initial public offering. They basically wouldn't give the news to some scammer on Twitter before they told the public. That's complete and utter nonsense. So that was going to be fake regardless. And the other thing with SCB, they basically took back the tweet within 24 hours of the tweet actually being issued. So, and this was before the price shrunk back. So based on those two things, it's probably going to shrink back over the weekend, and actually said on both my streams on Friday that I thought XRP was going to shrink back in ratio, not catastrophically, but a little bit this weekend. It did actually shrink back about 5% in terms of Satoshi ratio with Bitcoin. So if I had my stack in XRP, even though it's only at like a 6% shrink back, I would have actually sold out before the weekend started and then bought back probably today, because I was fairly sure that was going to happen, especially since it looked like over the weekend Bitcoin was going for a little bit of a retrace. So that's why, if you've been in this market for a while, you have to take advantage of these opportunities. You only make 5 or 6% at a time, but there's been a lot of opportunities to make anywhere from 5 to 20% or more at a time. And you would have had several times the XRP you had now if you just paid attention to news and what's happening and not just held on all the time. For instance, the XRapid launch spike, that was 3x. Now, I wouldn't have caught it on 3x, but I probably would have sold at like 60 cents and then wait until it shrunk down to maybe like 40 cents to actually buy back in. The thing is, you have to have, if you're going to do that, if you're an emotional trader, you can't do that, because if you don't have patience and you're an emotional trader, you don't do that, because you're more likely to just panic when it goes up a little bit and buy back in at a worse price. But for people who aren't emotional traders, who actually have discipline to actually wait for swing trading, that is a much better plan than holding, because over the course of time, you're going to make much more than the tax difference between long-term holding and swing trading. And, back to the David Schwartz thing, if you invested at, let's say, 20 cents, and then all of a sudden it goes up to $3, yeah, you should definitely sell out and diversify into either like Ethereum, Litecoin, or XLM, VET, or whatever. You should definitely diversify into other top 20 coins, because if you've been in cryptocurrency for any length of time, you can easily see that everything moves with Bitcoin. And the thing is, you're going to make just as much off those other coins once the market actually starts going up, and you'll make a lot off Bitcoin. Like over the last 6 months, Bitcoin basically has made better than any other coin besides Litecoin and BCH. And XRP has actually been like the worst performing coin in the top 10 over the last 6 months. So you don't really know which coin is going to perform better. And the thing is, if you diversify out, you'll get the increase from every single coin. You would have been a lot better over the last 6 months if you had diversified out rather than just hold on to XRP. even if you count just the increases from November of 2017, if you really look to January 2017, yes, XRP did gain about 15x, but if you diversified out your portfolio, you would have still just made as much. Bitcoin would not have gained as much. You would have only gotten about 3x. Ethereum gained more than Bitcoin, so did Litecoin. Litecoin actually got to around maybe 9x or so. So those wouldn't have gained as much as XRP during that bull run, but had you invested in something like Tron, Cardano, and IOTA, Tron went 100x in that same amount of time. Cardano went about 50x from November 2017 to January 2018. So in the end, having a diversified portfolio is a lot less risky. And even during that bull run, because you would have diversified some out in Tron, some out in Cardano, some out in Ethereum, some out in Bitcoin, some in XRP, you would have made about the same amount of money as if you just kept holding XRP with a much lower risk. David Schwartz understands this. He also understands that even though he thinks XRP is a good investment and he's personally invested in it still, that these risky asset classes, especially if you just hold on to one, can go belly up at any time, even if he's invested in it. He is a very smart person, but he's not a god. So he can't actually determine how the market works. He couldn't prevent the market from falling from 384 to 27 cents at its lowest. So that is why he's de-risking. That's why he diversifies. That's why he chose to take his salary in cash and Ripple stock, and that's why he's not all the way in on XRP. And this is the CTO, someone who's definitely on the inside. So if he's not all in on XRP, you should not be all in on XRP. You should actually make smart investment decisions, hold some XRP, but be sure to de-risk, diversify, and have good investment practices. And it's not like you have to time these things exactly right to actually, de-risk, buy back in. XRP was actually like 5 cents back in 2013, and it took 4 years basically for it to go, for it to have any kind of movement. It basically stayed almost under a penny for the entire time of 2013 and 2017. There was a little bit of time in the middle where it actually came up to 1 or 2 cents, but then it went right back down. The same thing, like from the spike of 2017 until now, it's been a year and a half. So you could have sold out almost any time along that line and then bought back in at a later time and made more money. You don't have to be a genius or have a crystal ball. You just have to realize that, hey, everything's moving with Bitcoin. This regulation stuff is really killing us. And if you have been paying attention, you would have realized that by now. So you could have just sold out and bought back in, whether it's into Bitcoin or XRP or cash, and bought back into XRP. Now, I always advise people to actually sell out into Bitcoin, because then if the rally happens, you'll probably catch the front of the rally, and then you can actually diversify back out into other altcoins. So basically, having a safety measure and de-risking, like David Schwartz says, is always going to be better than listening to a couple of idiot shills online and keeping all your money in one really risky asset, or holding 100% of that really risky asset. I'm going to keep with my advice of, if you have a lot in crypto, you should not have more than 40% in one asset. You should always be diversified out, no more than 40% in one asset. I like VET, I like XRP, but neither of those comprise the majority of my portfolio, and my portfolio is definitely more spread out than most others I've seen online, where it's like, I'm 100% involved, invested in XRP, or I'm 100% invested in VT. No, don't be like that. That's stupid. Because like I said, you don't really know which coin is going to go up the most. So if you diversify out, you're most likely going to make just as much as if you just hold 100% on one thing. So David Schwartz is actually right. He's basically calling out the shills, calling out some of the YouTubers, calling out a lot of the XRP army on Twitter, honestly, that keep on telling you to be like, that keep on promoting this $589,000 nonsense stuff and trying to get people to hold on until they reach those amounts, and they'll sell out slowly before that. So listen to David Schwartz. He may not be a great market predictor, but he is very smart about this, and he does have the correct outlook on this. So that's my opinion on his Twitter. I know it's been talked about a lot. He's not saying that holding's bad. He's just saying that you need to de-risk and not hold 100% of your assets in anything, because that's extremely risky. And even him, who is the CTO of XRP, isn't holding on to 100% XRP. So that is the news for today. Check out my social media stuff. It's in the description. Thank you and have a nice day.